Welcome back to The Explainer. So today we are diving straight into a massive high-risk anomaly in the world of global taxation. You know, most of the globe uses a territorial system. They only tax the economic activity that actually physically happens inside their borders. Makes sense, right? But there are a select few domestic frameworks out there that base their taxing authority on citizenship, not geography, citizenship. And this sets up an immediate structural collision. You've got the sovereign territory where you live and actually earn your money, smashing right into the sovereign nation that issued your passport. So, leaning on some really deep expert analysis today, we're going to act as an analytical engine to break down the exact mathematical architecture designed to relieve this systemic overlap. Let's get right into it. So, you might be wondering, is it actually possible to be legally taxed twice on the exact same income? And the unvarnished truth here is, yeah, absolutely. It's the direct cause and effect or these overlapping taxing rights. Think about it. When you generate capital abroad, that host country inherently possesses the primary right to tax it. But when your home country taxes worldwide income based on your citizenship, well, they're aggressively claiming a residual secondary right over those exact same dollars. To put that into perspective, let's look at the stark mathematical reality of this failure state. If a foreign jurisdiction hits you with a 40% tax and then your domestic framework levies a 35% tax, without a relief engine, your effective tax rate stacks up to a literally crippling 75%. 75%! That makes global capital accumulation completely mathematically unsustainable. And this absolute threat, that's exactly why we have these rigorous, legally defined relief mechanisms in the first place. Now, according to regulatory analysis, the system gives us two distinct escape valves to handle this threat. We have income exclusion and we have the tax credit. But here's the thing, these are not just two different flavors of the same concept. No way. They are completely different mathematical architectures, and they serve highly specific strategic purposes. Let's look at income exclusions first. This operates at the absolute top of your tax formula. Think of it like a jurisdictional shield. It physically severs your foreign earnings and just completely removes them from your gross tax calculation. Because it's a top-line removal, it inherently lowers your adjusted gross income, which can actually have a really positive domino effect on your other tax bracket thresholds. But then on the flip side, we have the tax credit. This operates at the very bottom of the mathematical formula. It doesn't hide the income. Instead, it acts as a post-calculation protective voucher. It gives you a direct, dollar-for-dollar reduction of your final domestic tax liability, based exactly on the capital you already surrendered to that foreign jurisdiction. Section 1. Mechanics of income exclusion. Okay, so to actually activate this exclusion mechanism, you have to navigate a remarkably rigid series of if-then causal relationships. It's a strict test. First off, the capital absolutely must be actively generated abroad. Passive income, things like dividends or capital gains, those are mathematically disqualified from this engine right out of the gate. Second, your legal tax home has to be firmly rooted in that foreign jurisdiction. But here is the real uncompromising friction point, the physical presence test. You have to be physically present in a foreign country for at least 330 full days during any 12 consecutive month period. And guys, this is an absolute draconian standard. The statutory law literally doesn't care about a canceled flight, a global pandemic, or some sudden medical emergency. None of it. If an unexpected delay puts you in your home country for just one extra day, say leaving you with only 329 days abroad, the entire architectural foundation retroactively collapses and your exclusion just completely vanishes. Poof. Now, alternatively, there is the bona fide resident test. But honestly, that demands overwhelming proof of deep, permanent integration into the foreign nation's economic fabric. It is extremely tough to meet. Section 2. Anatomy of tax credits. Now, for those who just can't meet those uncompromising exclusion tests, or maybe you're generating passive capital. Your secondary relief engine is the tax credit. But hold on, because not every single dollar you surrender to a foreign government magically transforms into a credible tax. Expert reports outline this absolute four-pronged legal test. Let's break it down. 1. The tax must be imposed directly on the taxpayer. 2. It must be legally accrued or actually paid. 3, it has to be an actual, non-refundable legal liability. And 4, this is the big one, it must specifically be an income tax. It requires what we call net income mirroring. So if a foreign jurisdiction aggressively taxes you through a value-added tax or a sweeping property tax, or even a localized wealth tax, you are completely exposed domestically. The domestic authority is only going to subsidize foreign taxes that structurally mirror its own definition of a compulsory tax on net income. If it fails that structural mirror test, the credit is flat out denied. And that actually brings us to a really highly non-obvious detail tucked away inside that actual legal liability requirement. It introduces the strict doctrine of the exhaustion of remedies. Let me put this simply. The domestic tax authority is not going to subsidize your generosity or your ignorance of a bilateral tax treaty. So, say a treaty explicitly caps a foreign dividend tax at 15%, right? But the foreign jurisdiction automatically goes ahead and withholds 20%. Well, you are legally barred from claiming a credit for that extra 5%. The domestic framework dictates that you are obligated. You literally have to invoke that treaty and demand a refund from the foreign government. If you fail to aggressively exhaust those legal remedies, well, your voluntary overpayment just mathematically evaporates. It cannot and will not be credited. Section 3. Overlap and allocation rules. So, what if you're a global operator trying to optimize your relief, and you think, hey, can I just deploy both engines simultaneously on the exact same capital? The legal and mathematical answer to that is a definitive, absolute no. There is a strict prohibition against double dipping here, and it stems directly from the concept of phantom income. Think about it. If you utilize the top-line exclusion mechanism to completely erase a segment of your income from your domestic return, that capital effectively becomes phantom income. It literally no longer exists in the eyes of the domestic tax authority. So to then allow a taxpayer to claim bottom-line tax credits based on taxes paid on that non-existent income, that would result in a mathematically impossible negative effective tax rate. The domestic logic strictly prevents foreign taxes attached to phantom income from ever reducing domestic liabilities on entirely separate earnings. It just doesn't work that way. To truly wrap our heads around this cause and effect, we've got to look at the unyielding proportional reduction formula. Because the exclusion mechanism often has a statutory cap, a high-earning taxpayer might only be able to shield, let's say for example, exactly 64% of their total foreign earnings. While the tax framework dictates a forced proportional friction right here. Because 64% of the income is now classified as phantom income, exactly 64% of the foreign taxes paid are instantly vaporized for credit purposes. You can't just manually or strategically allocate your foreign tax credits to the remaining 36%. Nope. The stripping away of those credits occurs in an exact, unyielding proportion to the income you shielded. It's a totally rigid formula. Section 4. Strategic selection by jurisdiction. Alright, so the ultimate choice between deploying the exclusion engine or the credit engine. It's never just a matter of subjective preference. Not at all. It is a purely objective calculation, dictated entirely by the statutory environment where that capital is generated. Let's say you're operating in a low-tax jurisdiction, an environment levying maybe an 8% income tax. In that case, deploying the exclusion is mathematically superior. By top-line erasing the income, you successfully avoid the much higher domestic rate. Pretty straightforward. But conversely, let's look at a high-tax jurisdiction where the foreign rate far exceeds the domestic rate. Suddenly, the exclusion engine totally loses its utility. Here, tax credits are for sure the optimal strategy. Those high foreign taxes easily wipe out the domestic liability. But here's the real kicker. The excess credits get banked. They effectively become an asset on your personal balance sheet, forming this strategic reserve that you can actually deploy to offset future tax liabilities. It's a real game changer. Section 5. The 5-year lockout. Now, the true gravity of these strategic selections really becomes evident when we analyze the deep asymmetry in the statutory timeframes. It's wild when you're banking excess tax credits from a high-tax zone. The system is actually remarkably generous. It allows those credits to be carried forward for a full 10 years to shield future foreign capital. 10 years. However, the exclusion mechanism contains a heavily punitive friction that's designed to explicitly prevent opportunistic mechanism swapping. If you're utilizing the exclusion and you actively choose to revoke, maybe to capture credits after moving to a high-tax nation, you trigger a draconian lockout. You are legally barred from re-entering the exclusion framework for 5 full years. 5 years. The domestic authority intentionally engineered this 5-year penalty to force taxpayers to fully commit to their chosen architectural strategy.
So, the non-obvious conclusion we really have to draw from this expert analysis is that optimizing double taxation relief isn't just a simple math problem. It's a high-stakes, multi-year chess match. A purely mathematical decision that you make today, based solely on this year's income and your current geography, well, it could completely paralyze your tax efficiency 3 years from now. Think about it. If you claim the exclusion today to save a marginal amount, but your career transitions you to a high-tax jurisdiction next year, you're going to be trapped by that 5-year lockout, completely unable to pivot back to optimal efficiency. True strategy here demands mapping out a full 10-year global mobility plan against these rigid, uncompromising jurisdictional engines. So the question is, are you truly forecasting your global footprint, or are you just reacting to it? Keep analyzing, keep optimizing, and thank you so much for joining us for this explainer.